Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
It is the ominous music of the Acolyte. I am Sam. This is the Stuff and Things Podcast. We are discussing the Acolyte from Star Wars, Lucasfilm and Disney+. Joining me to break down the penultimate episode is my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello there.
How you doing, buddy?
I am good. How are you, buddy?
Okay. Yeah, not too bad. The sun is shining here today, which you'd think in July that would be normal, but no, this is a British summer where the sun's shining. No, it's raining. Okay, the sun's, but no, it's raining again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna counter that by saying I was gonna give a slight audio warning to the listeners of it is absolutely torrential downpour here.
Wow.
And if the wind changes slightly, it's going to be going straight against the window I'm near, so you may hear some rain in the background.
Well, this is the thing. I am a southerner enjoying the sunshine, and you've moved up to north. Which means you are now getting the weather, my friend. It's what it is. You made the choice. You've now got to deal with it.
You can understand why so many of them have got webbed feet up here. It's just to deal with the rain.
And that's a lot of listeners gone. Thank you. That's not great. Yeah, no, he doesn't mean it, but if you do think he means it, just let me know and I'll give you his address. So, we are talking about the Acolyte. It is episode 7, and the title of the episode was...
Choices / you're really messing with my OCD now, Lucas Films.
Now.
Come on.
What is the title of this episode?
Choices.
Is it choices or is it choice?
Oh, I wrote choices.
Well,
have I added an S that wasn't there?
Well, now, this is the question I'm asking because you rely on IMDb for this. I go by what Disney Plus puts on the screen.
I am checking Disney Plus now.
How? How are you doing such a thing?
Because I'm genius.
Yeah. But like genuinely, I could be wrong. You could be wrong.
No, it is choice. I've put an S on for no reason.
So, just to be clear,
choice.
Every podcast we do, as is tradition, I ask you for the title of the episode.
Yep, I wrote an S for no reason.
You write it down, and
yes.
and you still got it wrong.
Yep.
Just wanted to highlight that. Just wanted to put that out there.
This is what happens when I try to get cocky and add stuff to it.
Well, yeah, that was cocky, and it went so bad.
So wrong. However, it is proper messing the OCD now. Make your mind up. It's either word / word or just word. Why do they keep doing this?
I think they enjoy messing with you. I think it's like they sat down. And
personal thing now.
Right, we're coming up. We got these 8 episodes for a show. We need to title them. I know what I'll mess with that British guy. That'll be funny.
If it comes out at the end of it and there's 4 that have got a slash in it and 4 that haven't, it'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I genuinely don't know the ratio. You're going to have to look that up and see if you can be happy on that. So while you're looking that up, there has been a lot, and I mean so much negativity around this show. We've discussed it a little bit in the past. I say a little bit. We've discussed it a lot in the past. So I don't want to get bogged down in it too much, but I do just want to sort of open the show by saying a lot of the criticism, this episode should shut up. Like, a lot of it was like, oh, what's this? This doesn't make sense. Oh, this isn't doing this and this isn't doing that.
Yeah.
And then we've reached the 7th episode, so the penultimate episode, and it has now completed a lot of the, like they've put enough pieces into the jigsaw now that you should realise that some of the gripes you had after episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, you just needed to let the show play out, which we said.
it's almost like you judged the show too early.
Yeah.
And didn't wait for the conclusion for the answers.
Yeah, bizarre that. Yeah, but bizarre. I mean, the way TV series work and stuff like that, it's like, for me, it's comparing it to a film, like getting 20 minutes into a film and getting frustrated you don't know the end. It's bizarre. Yeah. It's such a strange takeaway that people have. But
yes.
So that all being said, this is a funny thing for me, because anyone who listens to the podcast a long time, and firstly, thank you, they'll know that I have a few pet hates in storytelling when it comes to TV series. One of them is the overuse of flashback. So flashbacks does my head in.
It does. It really does, yeah.
And the other one, which is kind of a unique one, is when you use a bottle episode in a series that basically breaks up the story. So, for example, at the end of the last episode, we had all of these characters and all of these moments, and it went to black. Like, it was the end, and we were like, you were just about to say this, and you were just about to do this, and this character was about to say that or think this, and then, like, May was saying this, and Osha put the helmet on, and, what happens next? And then they've stuck a bottle episode in, which basically means we got to wait a whole other week. That aggravates the shit out of me as a storytelling thing. So I don't want to become part of the noise around this show and negativity. So, but at the same time, that does annoy me, because as a storytelling mechanism, I don't think it was necessary. So at the end of the last episode, we know that there's about to be a conversation between May and everyone's favourite Jedi right now.
Yeah.
Sort of favourite Jedi, maybe. And they're literally about to, so May and Sol literally about to have this conversation. Why not, at the start of this episode, have them sat there and Sol say, what you remember and what happened are very different. Let me tell you what happened. And then go into this 16 years ago on Brendok. And then, because this whole episode is the exact same events we've seen, but from the Jedi POV, from the Jedi point of view.
Yes.
Which is great, because it links perfectly. You could have these two episodes that tell the whole thing next to each other, and it's brilliant. You really can see the whole thing.
You see the two different sides. Yeah.
So it's a tiny little thing that just annoys me. But if you did that, then that is a continuation from the last episode. And then a little bit at the end, just with, I don't know, with May and the stranger, just to kind of set up next week. Just so this isn't a complete and utter bottle. It's on its own. There is no link to the current day. It's just showing us, the audience, oh, okay, and this is what happened 16 years ago again.
Yeah, and we don't actually know whether this is Sol telling May what happened, or if this is just here, so the audience knows. And then we're going to go into next week's episode of Sol going, I will tell you what happened one day. And you'll be sat there going, but we already know.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's my gripe. I feel like that. I feel like the way they've done that is frustrating and annoying. I'm not a big fan of flashback telling all the time, but in this, because of the way the story is, it makes perfect sense to do it this way. But what didn't make sense to me was this kind of bottle episode where there was no links to this, like a simple scene at the beginning, a simple scene at the end, and I wouldn't have anything to gripe about, if that makes sense.
No, I get you. Yeah.
Forgetting that then, and focusing purely on the content, it is Brendok 16 years ago, and like I said, we are literally seeing the events now from the point of view of the 4 Jedi. They are there, metal detecting, collecting plants, soil samples, and I'm kind of like, raised eyebrow, okay.
Yeah. I miss his due, Farmer Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we know the Jedi in this era are basically police. Like, we've kind of accepted that. So this is a forensics team.
Crime scene investigation Jedi.
Yeah, CSI Jedi, and I'm kind of like, I don't really get that, but what we do get is the four of them sat around a campfire. A Wookiee's cooking a local animal as he would. Jedi Padawan Torben, as he's known to me anyway. I'm just going to keep calling him Torben. Sorry, everyone.
Torben, Apprentice Torben, Padawan Torben. Yeah. Yep.
So he don't want to be there. I want to go home. This sucks.
Man,
why are we here?
He is so like teenage kind of. I just want to go home.
Yeah. So that was. See, there's two aspects of this which is kind of funny. To me, right? The first part is that was kind of like when I'm watching this, I'm like, the youngest one there is bored of being out collecting plants. I want to be doing something. I want to, I want to be at home. I want to eat something different. I want to feel like I'm doing something important.
There's a line there. Don't insult. It's not wise to insult a Wookiee's cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that line was funny to me because of how many times we've heard, like, it's not wise, to upset a Wookiee. Let the Wookiee win, No one worries about upsetting a droid. Well, droids aren't known for ripping people's arms out of their sockets when they lose.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Insult my cooking and I'll cook you sort of attitude to a Wookiee.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fully team Wookiee on that, When I'm doing the barbecue and you want to come over and start critiquing, no, I'll rip your arms out your socket. That's the deal. And I'm hairy too. So the Torben kind of thing, his kind of attitude in that was funny to me. Again, I saw a lot of critique online, right? And this is going to make me laugh, or hopefully make you laugh. A lot of the critique, oh, bloody hell, this is how badly written this show is. That he's supposed to be a Jedi Padawan, and he's talking like that, he's behaving like that, it's ridiculous. Jedi wouldn't be like that. Now, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Star Wars Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
Do you remember that Obi-Wan Kenobi has a Padawan?
He does.
And his name
fairly famous
is Anakin Skywalker. Probably the most famous of famous Jedis. And now, just purely to help my memory a little bit, he was a teenager during this particular moment. Do you remember him perhaps being a bit gobby and a bit kind of speaking out?
Yeah, I remember him kind of definitely questioning a few of Obi-Wan's sort of ideas, and then they made that show as an animated show all about Star Wars, where he pretty much argues the majority of the way through it and does things that he's told not to.
And do you remember that, in that particular film, because a lot of people only focus on the live action, so we'll just stick to that. Do you remember him running off on a regular basis as well, kind of like, and Obi-Wan having to be like, calm down, center yourself, like use the Force.
Yes.
Interesting. So it's almost like that when the films did it and George Lucas did it, and it was Anakin doing this, that's okay. But when a woman is creating a series in Star Wars and her character's doing the exact same thing, some people have an issue with it. Isn't that strange?
Very, very weird.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that there being a motive there, would you? You wouldn't think that would be an issue.
No, I wouldn't think so. It's just an odd little coinkydink that they seem to have an issue with a woman creating Star Wars content and not a man. Maybe.
Yeah.
Strange that. Yeah,
very
it's odd. It's very odd. But there's actually, by the way, if anyone wants to find it, I'll send you a link. There's a very funny TikTok creator at the moment who's doing reactions to classic Star Wars, as in all of the first 6 films, the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, reacting to them as Star Wars fans react to new content now.
Oh God, I've seen these.
And
they're
it is
brilliant.
Very funny. It is very, very funny. It's like, oh, so and so can just lift rocks now, can he? Oh, bloody hell! It's like, yeah, that's good. It is. And very true. And even some of it, I've been like, "Ooh, yeah, that's me. I've done that." Ooh, whoops. Yeah. So
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
So going back to it, the Jedi believe they are alone on the planet, and they're having this conversation. And Trinity, aka Master Indara, who I will continue to call Trinity, but I've just said Master Indara to prove to all the smug bastards who messaged in that I didn't know her real name. Trinity is very much in charge, is very much the elder Jedi of the group, you can tell, and she is trying to train her Padawan, not give him the answers, but kind of let him ask the right questions to get there by himself. But Soul kind of interrupts.
And Soul just comes straight out with all the answers.
Yeah, and Soul just got like, so she's kind of like, thanks a bunch, Soul. Like, no, I'll train my Padawan how I see fit, Soul. And he's like, oh, I want a Padawan. I think she even says like, maybe this is why you don't have one.
Yeah, this is why you haven't got one. Oh, okay.
So, harsh. Well, it is a little bit harsh, but at the same time, I get what she's saying. It's like, I'm trying to get this kid who's a typical sort of teenager, Jedi, a bit cocky, like most Jedi are at this age. And I just want him to think about things, not like have the answers given to him all the time. Otherwise, how in the hell is he going to learn? And then they're so like, oh yeah, we're looking for a virgins. This is kind of a big deal. Now, there's a reference made here to something that happens in Star Wars. It's in the lore in the books of the High Republic, which is a hyperspace incident, the big hyperspace disaster. Now, is this something you've ever heard of before that they reference?
The only time I've ever heard it was on our Discord channel that talks about the Acolyte, where I think it was Mikey mentioned it, and I was like, nope, no idea.
Yeah. So they say about 100 years earlier, this planet was left lifeless by a hyperspace disaster. Yes. Now, I'm going to do this very simplistically. There's obviously a lot more detail. But basically, you've got hyperspace lanes in Star Wars. A big-ass cargo ship was going through a hyperspace lane, and something cut across the lane, causing them to try and maneuver to avoid hitting it. The ship broke apart and launched parts of the ship like missiles out of hyperspace into normal space, striking planets and everything and killing millions. Like one planet, like 20 million was wiped out, and that was echoed across various places. Wow. It was referenced in Star Wars as like the great hyperspace kind of thing, and the Jedi had to try and ensure this could never happen again, and so there's a lot to it. You can look it up. It is quite an interesting little bit of lore.
Okay.
So this being referenced, like, I quite liked, but to tie into this, what she was basically saying was, we're here investigating because this planet was catalogued as dead. There shouldn't be anything here, and yet it is teeming with life. Now, little cocky Torben's like, oh, but there's some plants, whoop-de-doo. And what Sol was like, yeah, well, we're looking for a vergence, which is like where the forces created life. Now, we would have come across this term vergence before in The Phantom Menace, when Anakin is found. And Anakin, there is no father. Remember, Shmi says, I carried him, I birthed him, I've raised him. There's no father, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
So, Qui-Gon believes Anakin was created, was the will of the Force, was the chosen one, this vergence around a person. So it stands to reason to me that due to the prophecies and all these different things, if the Jedi are like, oh, why is this happening there? This could be a vergence. It would explain to me why a group of Jedi were dispatched to investigate. It makes perfect sense. That's, of course they're going to look into that, because what the hell's going on? Now,
if a planet is kind of deemed as dead, uninhabitable, lifeless, and now it's got a booming, forest and ecosystem, chances are you're going to want to find out why.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sol goes off on his own, and he encounters May and Osha, which is a scene we've already seen. That's a great sentence, Samuel. The best thing about that is the word "seen" twice, but written differently. So everyone who's listening knows the difference. But scene, it's a different scene we've seen.
English language, what a beaut.
Yeah. I have great respect for anyone who has English as a second language, by the way, because I don't think I could learn English from another.
I'm going to present you with the present in the present. Yeah.
Mind blown. So, or what was it? The one is like, they're over there, they are there. That's the one that, like, so, my brain's hurting. But anyway, so we've kind of seen this scene from a different point of view again. So the POV's changed. Sol spies the girls, follows them because they think there's no one there. So he's intrigued. You get to see Mother Coral come and collect them. Remember from the first time we saw Coral giving them a bollocking, like, don't go outside the walls. You know better than that. So Sol was like, okay, right, and follows them. He sneaks inside when they get inside. And I say sneaks inside, he like scales a mountain and sneaks in.
The wall. Yeah,
and he spies on them for a little bit. Again, we've seen this from a different angle before. And then he goes back to report back to them to say, like, we're not alone here.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, because this is the one thing in this episode and possibly in this series so far which I don't think they're going to answer for me, and I'm curious. Like, I don't fully understand it. One of the big teachings of the Jedi is around attachment and emotional and stuff like that. Sol seems to form an attachment to these girls instantly.
Yeah.
And I don't
it was
fully
very
get
strange. The way he was kind of like, I feel some connection to the girl. And it's like, how? Is that purely a force thing?
Yeah.
Like, did we see it slightly in the Phantom Menace between Qui-Gon and Anakin? Is it the same sort of, like, he felt something in the Force? It was like, yeah, this is the kid. I can sense it straight away.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing with Sol.
Maybe,
like he could just sense the Force in them and was like, that's the chosen one.
Yeah, I mean, when he's...
Or in his case, that's my chosen one, because I just want a Padawan.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's how it came across. It came across like he was so desperate for a Padawan, he kind of latched
the Force
on.
Went that one.
Yeah, he kind of latched on, and it was a... Like, to me, I'd like to kind of understand that a little bit more. I'd like to understand perhaps his background. Like, let's just say, for example, and this is just me throwing something crazy out there, he is from a background where he had a sister, perhaps, a younger sister, and the younger sister died. Or he had, or something happened along those lines that he would instantly feel a kind of young kid, young girl, I need to protect them. Because that seems to be what he's saying. Like, I don't, like, he just is like...
so protective. Like, they're in danger. We must save them. And
it's like an instant kind of thing where, in reality... In their interactions, like when Trinity leads the Jedi there to meet with them, and like I said, we've seen this from two different points of view now.
Yeah,
they're a bit abrasive. They're a bit like, what the hell are you doing here?
But at no point do you get the sensation of, like, these are dangerous. These are the children are in danger. They're going to hurt the children. They love the children.
Yeah,
they weren't going to hurt the kids. They loved them.
Yeah, that's the question that I've got in my mind, which is, where is Sol coming from with the danger aspect to this? Now, when he reports back, I did find it a little bit interesting that when he reports back about this group, are they a Force cult? That was interesting. Witches and obviously Night Sisters are mentioned as well. So I just wanted to highlight that. I kind of thought that was interesting. That, the Force cult thing I quite liked. One of the things we see as well, which I thought was really interesting, is when we saw this scene the first time around, one of the witches gets into Jedi Torben's head.
Mama, yes.
Yeah. And we now see that happen from his point of view,
We now see what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah, that was trippy. So she was basically sensing his don't want to be there, sensing all of this, and was just like, come on, do you just tell me you want to go home?
Like literally able to read his mind as well, like to find out, like, you're from this planet, you miss this, you want to be doing this, this is what you want, this, you want that. I was like, oh, that's a cool power to have.
Yeah. I mean,
like that's a cool trick.
Yeah, very. It helped with so many. I don't know. Actually, I always think this being able to read people's minds would be great. I think I'd just end up a gibbering wreck. Like, imagine every single person you meet, you know exactly what they think of you instantly.
One of my favourite films is What Women Want, and the way he goes insane walking down the high street with all the voices. That would be awful.
No, just
you'd have to be able to choose. You'd have to be able to choose what voices you can hear.
All the positives, none of the negatives, and even then, I still think it's just asking for trouble. I'm like, what sort of stuff that goes through your head, but you wouldn't say out loud, and then you'd be hearing all of that. It's just, it's a disaster.
Oh man, that's just asking for like anxiety problems, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. That's just like wearing. No, not good. So. We have these scenes where the girls are going to be tested. We know that from what we've seen before. We know from the opposite point of view episode that May is going to go in there and bomb the tests on purpose. We know that Osha has been told to do the same, but kind of doesn't want to do the same. So Sol works that out, that she's been told to do it on purpose, kind of catches her a little bit, like there's not even an image on the screen and you're answering, so I know you're making this up.
Yeah, that was clever.
And then does it slightly different with Osha. Osha obviously comes round to the, okay, I'll do it properly, and nails it. I
liked the Trinity with her very manipulating of talking to May about the head markings So what is this ceremony you're going to be having? It's a really beautiful mark. It must be really important. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Now,
instant way to get a kid to blab.
There's little things in this which I'm really delighted we got to see more of Indara in this season. When we saw that character die instantly in episode 1, I know a lot of people, genuinely, a lot of people were, turn the show off. In the trailer loads, killed straight away. I've been conned. And I'm like,
I can't stand that.
Come on, what are you doing? Watch the show and find out. So, getting more of Master Indara, aka Trinity Jedi, what was interesting to me is how levels above she is the other Jedi that are there. Like Sol, who we've kind of followed, has been our main protagonist in this. She was so far in understanding and kind of you just said then about manipulation. She was just clever. Okay, tell us about that. Tell us about this. That's interesting. Thank you so much. That kid leaves there what a nice lady. Just kind of
she really cared about it.
Considering how I'm just been told the Jedi are evil and we got to be wary of them. She was really nice. She took an interest in my pretty marking, in the ceremony. So that was good. I like that. That was a good example you just gave. There's also several things. She knows that this is a dangerous situation. She is constantly telling them, when they arrived, I should go on my own. The four of us walking in feels like a threat. And they're like, no, there's loads of them. We need to go together. So she is constantly knowing that this is a situation that can go badly fast. Yeah. And she is trying to be the calm voice and everything. And there's this moment when Sol and Osha, and he does those tests, and she kind of insinuates, and she's got this look on her face, and I want your opinion. I think she's insinuating that he somehow was giving her the answers.
Oh.
He's so desperate for a Padawan. She's like, you're so desperate for a Padawan. She's too old, technically. But you're so desperate, you are manufacturing this situation.
Yeah, because he's like, but this is what she wants. And she replies back, is it what she wants or what you want?
Yeah.
Be careful of that. Which leads me to, I was going to ask you a question about this. So she talks to the council.
Yeah.
And the council are just flat out no.
Yeah.
Do you think she speaks to the council, or do you think that's just her making the judgment call?
See, now this is the interesting thing to me, because I'm on the fence with that, and the reason why I'm on the fence with it is because of the cover up. So if she spoke to the council and ran the whole situation by them, and they were like, no, leave him there, come home, or leave him there, finish your research, and then come home.
Yep.
Like, don't get involved. And
then the next thing they get told is what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So probably because of that, and because she's then creating the cover up, I think perhaps she did. But like you, I was a little bit on the fence. I kind of felt like that was a little bit like, you all sod off and leave me to talk to the council. It's like, well, why do you need to do it on your own? Like, what is it? This, have you made this decision and you're just going to go and tell them, right? The council have said this.
See, that's how I took it. I kind of took it as she had made that decision. With you saying like how wise and experienced she was. Yeah. She was seeing how Sol was towards the girls, and she was like, nope, this is a bad idea.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She might have contacted the council and literally just said, say no to this. but I've promised I'd run this by you. And they've gone, that's a terrible idea. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. I told him.
Yeah. Sol needs a bit more training. You know what I mean? So, I think she did, purely because of the way it ends and the kind of, oh crap, what am I going to tell him now kind of thing.
So you think she did? She did ask then. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, if she didn't, they're rocking up with a girl they found, they rescued. That's the story you tell. The fact that she did, she now needs to create a narrative. Okay, well, this is what happened because they told us to stay away from this. Gotcha. So we need to tell them there was a fire and we saved one. Otherwise, we're in deep doo-doo now.
Yes.
So that's why I think that. Now, when she goes and tells them, like, the council said, no, we're going to finish our research and go home. Torben took blood samples. Again, we saw this in both episodes from the girls.
Yep.
And Torben's done a test, and Torben notices that they are identical. Now, what is interesting here is what he says in this moment, which I think, again, can contribute a little bit to the storytelling of how Sol struggled to know who was who. Because he's literally saying it's one person or one essence split in two. This isn't twins.
They're twins. Of course they're the same. No.
Yeah, no. Even twins have got slight differences. They are identical. Like, they have been created. And then his mind like goes, prophecy, we're here investigating a virgins. It's the kids! And races off. Which, by the way, everyone's being critical of. And it is just an Anakin teenage Jedi thing to do.
Completely Anakin would do that. 100% Anakin would be like, yep, got it.
Yeah. Now, Trinity is like, Sol, get after him because this could go bad. Like, get after him, stop him.
I feel like
awful
they said
decision.
the wrong person.
Yeah, awful decision. Trinity, you should have gone after him and put Sol on the ship with Tanaka. It's not Tanaka, is it? Who is it? It's Kernaka?
Oh, Kernaka, yes.
Is it? Am I getting that right this time? Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Keep talking, I'm going to look it up.
It's Kalnaka. There we go. Sorry. I've written it down because I kept saying Tanaka and I didn't know why. I don't know where that's come from. And I was like, I know it's not right, but that's what my brain keeps doing. And then, so I've written it down, but when I've written it, I've like missed the L on one time, so I was saying Kalnaka. Yeah, so it's Kalnaka, sorry. So in that moment, she should have gone, I'm going to go after him, Kalnaka, Sol, get the ship, we'll meet you there. But no, she sends Sol, probably trusting him when she shouldn't, and then when Sol does catch up with him, he's like, yeah, come on, kid, we'll get in there ourselves and we'll save the girls.
They're just going to the doors. Great, Sol, I know how to get in, I've done it before.
For fuck's sake, man, what are you doing? Now, meanwhile there, we do see events a little bit differently to what we saw the last time.
Yes.
And again, this is a little thing where I'm going to sound like I'm being picky, okay?
Yeah.
If Sol's telling this story, how does he know that happened? Soul telling the story from the Soul telling the story from the Jedi point of view, and this episode being largely from the Jedi point of view makes perfect sense to me.
Yep.
So how in the hell do we know that
that May set the fire because he wasn't there, and how does he know that she was trying to stamp on the fire to put it out and then try to get help? How does he know the conversations that were had between certain characters when
Mother
he wasn't even inside yet?
Mother Coral grabs May and goes for a walk. We knew that from the first time around we watched it. Yep. We assume she's being marched off and told, calm down, you little sod. No, she is marched off and told, fire up, get angry, stop your sister from leaving, it's on you. And that's what she goes and does. So now we know why that is, but Soul wouldn't know that. Yeah, Soul wouldn't know that. The only way we'd know that is watching this from a point of view from the initial episode. So it sounds like it is a little bit picky. I appreciate that. And I know there's so much criticism for this show. I try my very best not to be nitpicky with it because there's no need. Like, the show's actually pretty good. But with that, it's just like a little bit like, why include that? You know, there's no way they know.
You see it in so many shows as well. Like, so many shows do you like a point of view episode, and then it cuts to something happening like in the next building, and you're like, how do they know?
Yeah.
How would they know that conversation's that? And same here. Like, how do the Jedi know that May's been told, get angry, fire up, don't let her leave? He wasn't there.
Now, the only way you get around this is you think of it as conversational, which is a leap. Which is Soul is telling May, this is what happened, and May's responding, well, this is what happened. I was told to do this. That's the only way.
So Soul's gone, and then I saw her lead you out, and May's gone, she took me into this room and told me,
But that would, like I said, a scene at the start of this episode with the two of them talking covers all of this. Covers it all. But it's so that, like I said, it's a little picky thing. But when I was watching it, I did think that's strange. That's like how in the hell, like, everything's been from the Jedi point of view currently. So it's like telling the exact same story, but from a slightly different slant, and it's interesting. And it's what me and you theorised.
I found it quite good when we hear the mama talking to all the other witches.
Yeah.
And they're overhearing that conversation.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool because he would have overheard that because he was hiding at the time listening to it.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But then, like you say, you then get the other scene where you're like, how does he know that's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue. So me and you had a theory. We had a theory that May saw something that Osha didn't. And we kind of felt that perhaps what she saw potentially could be misinterpreted. Now, what do you think about it? Now, I'll just talk this through. That, in essence, what May sees is Soul draw his lightsaber and kill her mother.
Yes.
Why do you think Soul did that?
I think he was genuinely scared of what she was about to do. Like, she stood there and she starts turning into smoke.
Yeah.
And she's already watched him control, he's watched her control the Padawan.
Yeah.
Totally. And get into his mind. And now he's watching her kind of disapparate almost, just kind of into smoke. And I think it's kind of like a fear thing.
Okay, I don't think it's fear.
Okay.
Did you notice that when she was doing that, May started to turn into smoke?
Her shoulder and stuff started to so she was...
I think he thought...
She was running away?
Killing the child.
Oh,
I think he did what he did because he thought she was going to, like, you can't have them, no one can have them, the child's going to die.
Okay.
And I think he stabbed her in that moment because he was protecting May and Osha. Because
maybe.
He does that, and she sort of reforms, and basically is like, I was going to let Osha go, and then dies. You can instantly see the horror on his face of, what have I done? Did I make the right decision?
Because he refuses to draw the lightsaber on the other.
Yeah, he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't. He in that moment is questioning, did I make the right decision? What have I done? And it's instant. You can see it. Like, the actor's done a great job there, because you can convey all of that emotion on his face. Like, this kind of instant instinct, I must save the child, bang, oh my God, what have I done? Like, was that the right call? Now, I get that. Yeah. I get why he did it. And you see the child run to her mother, and he stood there, and she, from her point of view, all she has seen is her mother doing her, like, stuff she sees her mother do, and the Jedi draw a weapon and kill her. Yeah. You can completely understand May's perspective on this. And I think when he saw May looking like she was going to vanish, I kind of understand why he did that. I kind of understand why he acted to protect the child. But at the same time, I feel like Trinity wouldn't have. I feel like this situation wouldn't have happened if that was a more experienced, calmer, level-headed Jedi who would have gone, please, you do not need to do anything. We're not here to fight. These are our concerns, you know, and we're investigating this as Jedi. You know, how, you know, I just feel like it would have gone differently. But
I think it would have been a lot more of a conversation than action.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if the witches had attacked, I think she'd have taken them down, because you see just how powerful she is a bit later on. But
yes,
probably my favourite scene in the whole series so far is now coming up, which is the Jedi that are there, little Jedi Padawan King Torben. He's basically started this, and I think a little bit of it is didn't like that they got in his head, didn't like that feeling of being powerless. He's a little bit bored doing soil samples and stuff. He wants to be a Jedi with his saber out doing stuff. So I think he's kind of charged into this situation because of that. We also know that Sol, I think anyway, instantly regrets or instantly worries he's made the wrong decision. So the two of them are there. The witches are now on the warpath going for them, and they kind of, all of them do this, like you say, evaporate thing. And then you hear this voice say, you know, you shouldn't have brought him here. And little Torben's like, I've fortified my mind this time, which is bring it on.
Not him.
Not him. And then you hear Kel Naka. They've got into the head of a Jedi Wookiee and using him to attack Sol and little King Torben.
Just something a bit of a fun one with this. So there's quite a few scenes in this episode where the Wookiee is talking.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd be clever, so I put the subtitles on to try and read what he says. Doesn't work.
Oh, that's a shame.
It doesn't work.
Oh, that's a shame. They have done that in the past.
Yeah, in this one, it just comes up with speaking and then like the name of the language, and that's all it says. I was like, damn it.
That could be a fun video though, to basically just put in subtitles of what we feel Kel Naka's saying. So when he's at the top of that hill and he gives it, when they've taken possession, I think he's shouting, "Come and have a go!
Let's go, bitches!
Yeah, come and have a go if you think you are enough." You know, or just like, let's fucking go, in a Wolverine style voice. But Kel Naka attacks. Now, the minute Kel Naka is possessed and attacks, I immediately go, well, I know how Torben gets his scars.
You just, instantly, you're like, I know what's coming here. Yeah.
And
you're not going to be, I mean, a Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah.
A Wookiee is already terrifying.
Yeah, already very powerful, very strong.
Add the Force and the lightsaber, and you're like, killing machine.
Sol and King Torben Jedi really struggle. King Torben Jedi gets messed up. Trinity's up in the ship. She sees the explosion from the fire that May set. She obviously lands and gets there as quickly as she can. And she arrives just in time to basically tackle Kelnaka, and using the Force draws the witches from the mind and basically takes them all out. Which
kills them all.
Is an insane level of power that she has.
And quite a cool scene. You've got them kind of
scene,
witches wobbling and humming in the background,
and then she just takes them
all
out.
of them just drop. You're like, whoa.
No, that to me is, again, this is a Jedi Master. This is someone who has encountered these situations, knows what to do. She's in control. She understands, and basically her team's kind of let her down here. Like, really, like, I've asked you to do this, and then this has happened. You've taken this on yourself, and now this has happened. She says to Soul, save the girls, because she's obviously thinking now at this point, they're kids, we need to save them. I mean, angry as she is, and we get the scene which I enjoyed, because we had a chat about this. You pointed out, why didn't you save both of them? Why didn't you use the Force and save them both? Do you feel now, having watched this next part, that has been answered?
It has been answered. He did try. He was holding both of them. He was holding the bridges, and obviously it was a struggle with each hand holding a different item. Yeah. He struggled.
And he
I don't know if it makes him a better or a worse person, but he then chose one.
Well, here's a question for you, right? And here's an impossible question, but it is the question he faced. You've got two children on two ledges, and you're struggling to hold them both there. You have a choice. You keep trying, potentially losing both, or you
save one or save none.
Yeah.
Or the third option, which no one thought of,
right,
is scream at both of the children to run back off the ledges.
Yeah. We see, this is a funny thing, and this is a funny thing. I have this conversation with my daughter all the time about films and TV with situations like this. And the reason why we have this conversation all the time is because she says exactly what you just said. Well, why wouldn't they just do this? And my answer to this always is, in TV and films, to create this moment, this epic moment, it seems longer than it actually is. And what I mean by that is, this all probably happens in seconds.
In a few seconds.
Yeah. But if you depict that in a TV show, then a TV show would only be 5 minutes long. Like, that's not how it happens.
True.
Now,
that is very true.
If you have ever, and I really hope everyone listening hasn't experienced this, but if you talk to anyone who's been in a severe car crash, I can tell you it felt like it was slow motion. Like, in that moment, my memory of it feels like a slow motion freeze frame. I can remember the moments, certain smells, tastes, everything that happened in that moment.
Yep.
And it felt like everything slowed down. Obviously it didn't. I mean, I was in a car that rolled, and I think the whole incident lasted under 20 seconds. It didn't feel like that at the time. So when I see it in film and TV and it's depicted that way, yeah, of course you can say, well, why don't you just shout? If something happens like that, you don't. You try and, like, so for example, if I'm a Jedi, am I going to shout, or am I going to use the Force to save them because they're right on the ledges?
No, I get you. I do understand.
So that's kind of my answer to that, and I get it. I mean, again, I've seen that online everywhere. Oh, this is how poorly written this show is. It's like, well, no, this is no different than any film, any TV show ever that depicts a scene like this. Yeah, of course. Oi, move back from the ledge. All right, cheers.
Oh, phew, I almost fell off the then. Thank you. Yeah.
You, both of you, step back. People, because you're watching this and you're calm and you're clear-headed as well, you're not putting yourself in the moment. You're not putting yourself in, like, the one my daughter has all the time is like, why when you step out in front of a car do people freeze? And I'm like, well, that's because people panic, and when panic sets in, you freeze. She's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You move. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't make sense, but that's what happens. Like, people panic. Like, when that sets in, you don't think properly. Like, your heart rate goes, everything goes, your motor function fails, and you're in trouble. So, like I said, it is a thing. It is something that's in every TV show, every film. Yeah, of course you can pick holes in it, and for parody, it's fun. Like, you can have a good laugh at that. But I don't think it's a criticism you can really have. I think what you're seeing there is like split second. He's got to make a choice, and they're depicting it slowed down, and he makes the choice, and then you've got an understanding again of his kind of guilt over all of this. His kind of, I was trying to save both, I could only save one, because he genuinely thinks May's dead. So when he takes Osha away, and they're all on the ship, here's my final thing. What do you think to this situation now, where Trinity is going to cover all this up? Because I'm in like complete two minds about this, about why she's doing it.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, for me, I'm like, I don't understand why they would need to cover it up. Like, they could literally go back and say, look, we found these two kids, we thought they were in danger. We went in to make sure they weren't in danger. They tried to attack us. A fire was started. We saved the girl.
Yeah.
Pretty much what happened, not needing to really do some big cover-up.
Now,
from a Jedi point of view, that's what happened.
Now, if you tell the truth on this fully, the Padawan's probably in deep shit for racing off and doing what he did. Is Kelnaka in trouble for basically doing all what he did whilst being possessed, like not having his mind fortified? And is that like a besmirch mark? Would people look down on Kelnaka for that? There's not many Wookiee Jedi. Is this a case of they'd be like, ooh, if someone can take, now he's trained in someone, ooh, that's dangerous. Would he
can't let Wookiees be Jedi because they've got weak minds?
Yeah, would that then make him shunned? Soul's decisions in this were awful. They're terrible. So would he then be out on his ass as well? And this young girl that they've saved, there's no way, because of age and everything that's happened, they would allow her to be trained. No way. So then she's just an orphan that's going to be thrown out. So I think Trinity, angry almost, but not, as angry as a Jedi gets, and she is very much a true Jedi in this, is in a situation where she's like, I've got to now cover this up, otherwise my Padawan, my, soul, Kelnaka, and this girl will suffer. So,
and I'm guessing if she's the one in charge of all this, and this has all happened underneath
potentially.
Her, it's on her head
that's
well,
potential, that's potential, but I don't think that's her concern in this. I genuinely think she depicts to me what everything I think of a Jedi. And I think if this was purely her would suffer some sort of consequence, she'd just go back and tell the truth.
Yeah, but the fact is everyone, and there's a lot of...
Yeah, and I think the ultimate factor is the child. I think the ultimate factor is Osha, where she has just lost her family, everything's gone. She's clearly some sort of virgin of Force, so that's clearly on her mind as well. Yep. And she also is in this situation where I think she believes, like, I know the Jedi will just say no and kick her out. So Soul taking her as a Padawan is the only way this child's going to have a decent enough life. And I now need to cover this up. Now, what is interesting to me is what we see is the 16 years later, she's basically still working as a Jedi, still doing her thing. You remember the scene where May shows up to attack her and she notices May's marking? That now has more relevance. Because, of course, she said to her, that's really pretty. I like your marking. And that's why that has relevance, like, to that. So that now has more significance, makes more sense. But she's basically... She's continued her way, her kind of, almost samurai-esque existence, going out into townships and planets and being a Jedi. Where is your Jedi? Soul has kind of thrown himself into teaching. Soul took Osha as a Padawan, didn't work out, and now he's teaching younglings and doing stuff, and he's that's how he feels he's going to make up for what happened. We know that Jedi Padawan Torben, who's now a master, has basically been in meditation for 10 years. He clearly has issues with what happened, big time. And we know he killed himself instantly. The minute May gave him the option of you can make it up to me by drinking this, he was like, okay, I'm sorry, I thought we were doing the right thing. So all of this now has this kind of significance of they were all deeply troubled. Kel Naka went off by himself.
I can understand his reasoning a hell of a lot more now.
Well, he just
he turned on his own people.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do that.
I need to be on my own. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
The fact that then Soul kind of carries on with the Padawan and stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
The only thing is that the Jedi Knight who becomes from Padawan to Jedi Knight and then puts himself into the meditation.
Yeah.
That one's a bit of a strange one because obviously time has passed.
Yeah.
Between the events and then him putting himself in this state of meditation.
Yeah.
So is that something where he just continuously almost beating himself up over what happened
I
and the choices
so.
and got to a stage where it was like,
how many decisions did you make as a teenager that now as an adult you look back and go, oh wow, what was I thinking?
Oh, so many.
If you put yourself in his position then, as he's then becomes a Jedi Knight, he might have walked away from that situation and think, I did nothing wrong. I'm fine. I got all these scars, but yeah, it's badass scars. Chicks dig scars. It's all good. He's kind of and then he's growing up, and then I think the realization that was all my fault. Everything that happened then wouldn't have happened if I hadn't charged off. And if you're a Jedi and you've kind of got that, I think that's why he then went into that meditation. I think once the realization hit, and it's this kind of Kel Naka's now, left the order, lives by, that wouldn't have happened if not for me. These scars, everything, Soul now just teaches, I don't know where Jedi, no one, we had to do this, that all those people died, one of the children died. And that was all
those witches died, all because he jumped on the land speed and off he went.
Yeah. And I think that adult eyes realization is what drove him to do that, and why his guilt was so much he was willing just to end his life instantly. I think he basically felt that all of that situation was on him. Whether that's accurate, I mean, to a certain extent, yeah, but it isn't all on him. It was just a clusterfuck of bad decisions around everyone. And Trinity, you can blame her a little bit, lost control of the situation. She potentially, again, all of that again would have just thrown them on the ship and gone, right, we're going back to Coruscant, we're going to report all our findings, and we're going to mention there's people here, including 2 children, that potentially were created from the Force, and if they want to investigate, they can send, 20 friggin' Jedi Masters, not us, not my little Padawan and this rather green team I have here.
Yeah, and the same with Soul. Soul reaching him outside. Oh, they've broken the doors. Soul could have turned around and gone, well, that's a freaking sign, isn't it? Right, Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's not scale the wall.
No, it was decision after decision was poor, but I can understand that he took that on himself, because I think adult eyes, I did that. That was me. Yeah. I raced off.
Some would say there were some poor choices made.
Because very poor choices. But I think he was looking at it, his point of view of, I just wanted to get back to Coruscant. I didn't want to be there. And because of that was my desire, which of course the Jedi don't, can't have desire. And I think that's once his realization kicked in with all of that, that's when he was just like, nah, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just going to float here for a decade.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. Going to zone out, not think about the past, not think about all the guilt and everything else.
Yeah.
Just going to, nope. Yeah,
so
I
look,
can understand that.
I had a few gripes in this episode. I did, and I've aired them, and I've sort of talked them through. But overall, I've really enjoyed this series. Like, this is the penultimate episode, so next week's the finale. The showrunner has said we are getting a definitive ending. She would love the opportunity to tell more stories in this era along these lines, but she says no. This show does give you an ending, so we've got one episode to wrap this up, which is.
I have enjoyed this series a lot.
Yeah.
I am worried for next week.
Worried
because I
that the
feel
ending
like
might not
there's
land
a
it.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot still to be discussed and sorted out.
Yeah.
And these episodes are typically between 32 and 37 minutes long.
Yeah.
When you cut out the previously on and the credits.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Now, if it was a movie and it was an hour and a half movie and you had the entire final third of a movie to wrap it all up,
yeah,
you'd be all right. But the fact that we have had like 7 episodes,
yeah,
to then just have one episode to wrap it up, I'm a bit nervous at how fast paced it's going to have to be to get through everything and a definitive ending. I'm like,
I'm with you. I'm with you because a definitive ending doesn't necessarily mean it ends with a and they all died. You know, it can mean that
it's going to go full Rogue One,
you know,
all dead.
Yeah, this kind of story that we're following in this particular series has ended, but these characters are still very much out there. So what you know, is there more to tell? Could we see more of this character? And that to me would wrap up well. That would leave me wanting more. Interesting is Disney. What happens next with this show is going to be very interesting to me. The last show that performed this badly in terms of reviews of Disney Plus original was the original series follow-up to the Willow film called Willow. That series got review bombed, destroyed, and I'm going to hold my hands up. I like the film Willow. I never watched the series because when I saw the basic premise in the trailer, I just didn't feel like it was for me at all. It just didn't speak to me. They deleted that series. That series is no longer available anywhere. It was a Disney Plus original and was literally deleted. You cannot get it on DVD. If you didn't watch it, you will never, ever get to see that again. And there are loads of reasons why they did that. From paying the actors, you know, they got their fee and they'll now never earn additional money from it because it's gone. It's deleted. It will never be released on DVD. It will never have anything like that again. It is just gone from Disney.
Which kind of makes a bit of a cool slate. Like, if you are one of the people that did watch it,
yeah,
and maybe enjoyed it, you are then part of a really kind of exclusive group of people that actually got to witness it. Like, I didn't watch it.
No,
I didn't watch. I haven't watched the movie.
No,
I haven't seen the series. I have no idea about it.
No,
and there are people out there that have been able to watch it and know everything. And I'm like,
there are a group of shows Disney did that with, and Disney are the first streaming service who did that. Netflix, they throw it up there. It doesn't perform well. Oh well, it's there forever. It's just original content, and it's sat there in their archive. It just continue and continue.
If you leave it there for long enough, people will start watching it.
Yeah. That's just the Netflix model, though. If you think about it, just here you go. Here's a massive library. Enjoy.
Yeah.
When it comes to this with Disney, what we have since found out is they are able to write off shows they delete against their tax. So if they spent 200 million on Willow and it doesn't succeed and they delete it, it's gone, they can literally go, yeah, that was a 200 million write-off. It's a flop. It was 200 million down the drain. We earned nothing from it. If they delete it. A lot of people are pointing to the fact that you can check online the top 10 streamed shows, and the Acolyte has dropped out of that top 10. And the only show previously to do that was Willow.
Oh.
So a lot of people think that the Acolyte potentially not only will not get additional series, but could actually be deleted. Could actually be a tax write-off. if that happens, I will be really disappointed, because I think it's a show that people might come to at different stages and then really enjoy watching it as a whole. Like, all 8 episodes available, you binge it in a couple of days, I think you'd love it. I think this show is very good.
Yeah.
And also, it would be a massive win for the review bombing idiots who haven't even watched it. Like, I see content creators for Star Wars. Some of them I used to really respect, and they are just slamming this show, and I'm listening to the critique, and I'm like, it makes no sense. Like, some of the stuff,
you haven't even watched it. Like, you haven't seen it to know.
Like, some of the stuff that's being said, I'm like, okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's a fair critique. Yeah, you know, I just said the few bits I had. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, the actual stuff that I'm seeing on a regular basis is like, oh, this is woke nonsense. Mate, I don't know about you, but I mean, I because of the level that people have said that, I've been looking for it. I'm not seeing any woke nonsense. It's just not there.
I think I've said on the podcast, if not for this show, I've said it on another show's podcast, that the whole, any sentence involving the woke that isn't, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
I hate. I cannot stand this whole woke terminology thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are using that phrase as, I don't like it, and I don't know how to explain I don't like it, so therefore it must be woke bollocks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have an opinion. Absolutely, 100%. We only have a podcast because you and Alfie had an opinion on a show years and years ago, and went, do you know what? We've got an opinion on this. Let's talk about it. It'll be fun.
2016, this podcast started.
Yeah. So we're kind of like 8 years.
Yeah.
Of podcasts, because you and Alfie had opinions
and
wanted to talk about it.
Yep.
So I am only a podcaster because of having opinions on shows.
Yeah.
And opinions are fantastic because everyone has opinions, and you can have some really good debates with people.
Yep.
And you can have some really insightful conversations, and opinions are fantastic.
Yep.
However, the people that have an opinion with just nothing to back it up, like I hold my hands up. I have retaliated, and wish I hadn't, to people that have commented on some of the posts we've put out about this show. And looking back now, I'm like, I shouldn't have bothered getting involved, because, you know. But there was people having a go about, I've never watched it because someone told me it was woke. Yeah. And I'm like, so how can you tell us not to do a podcast on a show that you refuse to watch? So you have no idea about it.
Yeah, I mean,
they're the ones that frustrate me. Like, have an opinion, sit down, watch it. Even if you only watch the first 3 episodes, and after 3 episodes you go, do you know what? It's not for me. And these are the reasons it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, we watched The Walking Dead World Beyond.
Yeah.
That was a Walking Dead show that we very much realised was made to try and bring a new audience into The Walking Dead.
Young teenage audience.
Yeah, The Walking Dead itself had been running for such a long time that the young teenagers that would have started watching it to begin with were now probably married with kids and families, and, you know, they wanted to bring a new generation in. Absolutely no problem with that. Do it. Fine, no problem. I guarantee it's not going to be long until, like, the Marvel Universe, which I love, is going to be making content purely for the Young Avengers. It is to bring in new audiences. And I understand that you have to keep doing this.
Yeah.
We watched that show, and after 2 episodes, we were both like, okay, I don't think this is for us.
Yep.
We watched the entire show, and we gave our opinions on what we had watched.
Yep.
Not a problem with that, you know. And if people have watched the whole series and they've not liked it, have an opinion. In my opinion, I would be very disappointed if this show got deleted.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the show, and I really like the idea of there being lots of different stories from this time period of the Jedis, And like you say, a definitive ending to this show is not necessarily, and then Sol gets murdered.
Yeah.
And then we never see him again. Sol could carry on being a Jedi. He could go back to just teaching the Padawans.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't have another show about something else that's happened. And at some point, they go back to the High Council and, look, there's Sol from, there's a guy from that other show. Oh, he's still teaching the younglings. Okay, that's cool. You can do that, and you can have the characters mixing together without it being a show all about them. You can still have them appear as cameo parts because, it's the same timeline.
Yeah.
And that I quite look forward to the idea of.
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same. I think a lot's going to depend on next week. You stick the landing on this, I think you got a chance.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
I don't even think, the stranger, I don't even think he needs to die or be, or anything like that at all, for it to have a definitive ending.
No.
It doesn't need anything like that. I just like, I just like you say, I just hope they stick this landing.
No, I'm with you.
And then it can go on to the next one.
I'm with you. That is our show. That is all the notes we have. We will be back next week to discuss the finale of The Acolyte, the last one in the series. Yes. We are continuing on with our other shows which are out there at the moment. We are in Westeros discussing House of the Dragon Season 2. That show's really picking up and kicking ass and setting fire to things. We are also discussing The Boys, which is rapidly also drawing to a conclusion. We will be back discussing that show tomorrow even, so look out for that. But yeah, fan of The Acolyte, fan of Star Wars, and that's what you like to listen to. The finale is next week. Our show will be available as always. Until then, everybody, you all take care.
And may the Force be with you.
You should not have brought him here.
No. My mind is fortified.
Not you.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.